Welcome to New Jersey Motorsports Park, where we continue to have cloudy conditions here for Superbikes at New Jersey in the final round of this 10th anniversary season of the MotoAmerica Championship. It is time to get into racing for this afternoon. You can see the grid now being filled with Stock 1000 riders. Race number 1 here on this championship weekend. Everybody cool, calm, collected right now. I'm Jamie Howe, joined here in the broadcast booth by Roger Hayden. And Roger, we've watched these riders get themselves into the positions that they're in right now. What stands out to you about this 2024 championship?
Well, it just comes down to this weekend and all the work that they've put in all year for two guys fighting for every point they can possibly get. And I think the big thing is just the twists and turns that the championship has had with, Hayden making some mistakes, then Jason winning. It just seemed like every time one rider was going to separate himself, a mistake came and tightened the points back up.
Hayden Gillum in defense of that championship here this weekend. Let's take a look at the last time we had Stock 1000 bikes out on the racetrack. Let's go back to Laguna Seca, race number 2, Roger.
Yeah, all the way back to Laguna. We talked about Jason there qualifying on pole. Got a really good launch there, headed up over turn 1, down into turn 2, but Hayden Gillum also. You'll notice Andrew Lee, great start for him. Ashton Yates as well. All these guys have been riding so well. Benjamin Smith. But early on, you can see Ashton just riding really well mid-season there, taking the lead there in the last corner. Andrew Lee looks like he's going to try to make a move up over turn 1. All these guys were swapping positions early on. You see the yellow bike, that's Danilo Lewis, was also in this lead group early on. So Andrew Lee and Jason Uribe having a battle that went all the way down to the last lap. And then look at Ashton though, just got out front there and just steady. See Jason right there second, collecting the points, and Ashton able to have such a strong year. And it's great to see Ashton get his first win.
First win in Stock 1000 for Ashton Yates, but he has been on the podium 5 times. And you see him up there third in the point standings, 39 points back from our defending champion, Hayden Gillum, who now has a 7-point hold on Jason Uribe. Those are the stories up front. Benjamin Smith still there in 4th place, Bryce Prince as well. Let's hear more from pit lane with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Joe Ankier.
Thanks, Jamie. Yes, here on the grid for the start of race 1 of the Stock 1000 Championships. Jason Uribe, Orange Cat Racing, 2nd in the championships, 8th on the grid. This is the race that could make all the difference. What are you willing to do?
Honestly, my plan is to be aggressive, be up there, get to the front, and just take it one lap at a time. I'm lucky I have a great team behind me, and they've put a lot of work and effort into making this package as good as it is. So I'm really just looking forward to capitalizing on the experience that we have, and I'm excited. Let's get it going.
Excellent. Best of luck out there. Thank you, Jason. Well, let's take you over here to 7th on the grid. We have Ben Smith, Flow for Law Racing, who is also 4th in the standings, but 8 points away from that podium. What do you need to do?
Yeah, just get a good start, execute this race. We had a weird 2 qualifying so far this weekend with mixed conditions, so I feel like we have pretty good pace in the dry, honestly, so just get a start, get through that first corner clean, and just keep chipping away at it.
Excellent. We've seen plenty of improvements from you, Ben. Well, let's walk further down the grid. These grid positions ended up in rather unpredictable territory, partly because of the conditions. We're going to go over here to Ashton Yates, who is 3rd in the standings and 4th on the grid. Well, Ashton, it is all to race for. 3rd in the standings, 4th on the grid. Your closest rivals are behind you. Does it help to know that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm out here, riding with these guys and not really worried about what's going on around me. Just going to go out there and ride and go fast. And the bike's working well right now. I don't really have to think about much except putting down fast laps. So that's the focus.
You're coming off a great win at Coda, though. That win, how much confidence does it give you going into this?
Oh, yeah, lots.
Lots. All right, we can see the focus there from Ashton Yates, and who can blame him? He's 3rd in the standings, and that means that it is all to play for in race number 1. So let's go over to our pole sitter, Hayden Gillum. He's been riding great all weekend. Hayden, what a great weekend you're having so far, but this is where it really counts. Pole sitter, what is your mindset right now?
Oh, this is our first dry session of the weekend, so on this bike, so it's going to be interesting. It's yeah, it's last 2 races of the year for the Stock 1000 boys, and everybody's going to be gung-ho to get to the front. So just right now, I just want to get a good start and see what happens, have a good race, and just enjoy it.
7 points between you and Jason Uribe, who is in 8th on the grid. What is your plan to hold him off and to extend your lead in this championship?
Only thing I can plan on doing is just get a good start and see if I can keep these guys behind me. That's all I'm focused on doing right now.
Okay, well, we have had, as I mentioned, some rather unpredictable positionings on this grid. Hayden Gillim talking to us earlier about some issues with his hand, which he said were actually helped by the rain out here so far this weekend. But this race is going to be dry, so we will have to see if Hayden Gillim's hand holds up in the dry conditions, where he says the stopping and starting does mean that there is extra pressure on his hand. So we have heard the signal that the bikes are getting ready now, and we are about to see race 1 of the Stock 1000 Championship. 7 points in it between Hayden Gillim and Jason Uribe. Back to you, Jamie and Roger.
Thank you, Joe. It's always great to hear from the riders out there on the grid right before they put those helmet on. And Roger, different tactics here. In the case, let's start off with Hayden Gillim. He's our championship points leader. He is the defending champion. He's the most recent race winner from here at New Jersey back in 2022. All he wants to do is focus on himself. Get that good start.
The big thing for him is just not make a mistake. You know, that's kind of been his only problem this year is, you know, the crashes and a couple mistakes. So if he can just get a good start and get in the flow and just kind of maybe pull away from the rest of the pack and not try to get into that battle. And if he is in a battle, just try not to put yourself in bad spots.
In the case of Jason Uribe, though, who's 7 points back in the championship, he needs to finish ahead of Hayden today in order to still be alive in anything. For Jason, he said it that he needs to be aggressive.
Has to be aggressive. His only thing is he needs to go out there and beat Hayden. He has to beat Hayden. Also, he wants to keep the pressure on Hayden and see, you know, that's what you don't want him to get comfortable. You want to try to keep that pressure and maybe pressure him into a mistake.
Talk about the weather. We heard it there. This is the first dry session for Stock 1000. It's been very mixed conditions through both qualifying sessions for all of the categories. But for these riders, they've already done the one sighting lap. Now they're going to go out for a warm-up lap. What do they focus on?
They're just trying to see what the bike setup is. How's the grip? This is going to be their first time in a totally dry track. So they just want to get out there and see where the grip is and see how their bike's handling.
Great to have all of the fans out here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Looks like there potentially was an issue for Danilo Lewis. He is now on that bike starting from the front row. Number 2 qualifying position.
You know, also with the rain that we've had this weekend, when you look at the grid, you see some names on the front row and toward the front that these other guys at the front haven't raced with all year. Danilo Lewis, Jason Waters, you know, Isaiah Davis, Richard Kerr, top 2 rows.
The rain always being the great equalizer, but the one thing that has stayed the same is the fact that Hayden Gillim, carrying the number 1 plate, continues to lead this field.
The Stock 1000 coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
As the riders complete this warm-up lap, Roger, freshly paved here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, over 2¼ miles of fresh asphalt. Take us around a lap of New Jersey Motorsports Park.
One of the smallest tracks we go to, not a lot of passing zones. That one of the best one is right here down into turn 1, up over 2, 3, that chicane down into 4, turn 5. That is the next best passing zone. Through 6 into 7, just such a long right-hander. Really stresses the tire. Into 10, from there it's important to get a good run through 11, 11A, through the last corner, turn 12, onto the front straightaway.
That front straightaway has been widened out. There's now a better entry going into turn 1. Let's take a look at how they'll line up to get there. Our pole sitter, Hayden Gillim, joined on that front row by Danilo Lewis and Jason Waters.
And Ashton Yates, Isaiah Davis, and Richard Kerr.
Going to row number 3, it's Benjamin Smith, Jason Uribe, and Augustin Sierra.
Then Nolan Lampkin, Emmanuel Aguilar, and Travis Wyman.
Go to row number 5, JC Camacho, Alex Arango, and Anthony Norton.
And Dion Campbell, Bryce Prince, and Bobby Davies.
Row number 7, Manuel Suguera, Steven Shakespeare, and Erwin Ramirez. 21 riders set to take the grid here in Stock 1000. Mentioned the first dry session here for Stock 1000. It's been mixed conditions all weekend with a steady mist, but that is now cleared out from the Millville, New Jersey area. It's now up to 76 degrees. Humidity also starting to come down. Hard to believe. Still up at 80% humidity. Very light wind here in the area. This is going to be a great race for Stock 1000. Looks like everybody has made their way back to the grid. You can hear there through the race control window that all the bikes have made their way back to the front grid. It is all in the hands of the starter. Red flag still being held at the front, waiting for all clear from the back. You see the lights in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Those lights will go on. When they go out, revs are up. It is time to race. Race number 1, Stock 1000 at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Hayden Gillum wanted the good start, and it looks like he got it.
Great start, but Danilo Lewis also with the great start is going to be able to lead them through turn 1. Jason Waters also taking advantage of that good qualifying, but look at Hayden. You can see he's already trying to make a move early on.
Danilo Lewis with a really, really good start. Ashton Yates as well, up into third.
You can see Ashton, he's looking racy early, trying to find a way around Hayden. Hayden gets a good run out of 3. Makes the move into turn 4, and I think you'll see Ashton maybe try to go to the inside down into 5.
Hayden Gillum already able to get back around Danilo Lewis, Ashton Yates, Benjamin Smith there in the number 78. Those riders have seen the dry track this weekend. They're taking part also in the Superbike Cup, so they've been out there in some mixed conditions. If you're watching with us here on YouTube, this stream will continue. MotoAmerica Live Plus is back up and running. Thank you for your patience throughout the day. This is bonus all-day coverage here from New Jersey Motorsports Park as Hayden Gillum is now starting to pull just a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, it looks like he's just putting in some good laps, just like he has. He wanted a good start, getting a lead. The guy he has to worry about, Jason Uribe, he's on the back of this group as well, so there's still, you know, he's not clear just yet.
Jason Uribe said he needed to be aggressive. This is a 14-lap race. He doesn't have a ton of time to work with, but you can see him not waiting to take those chances.
Ashton also makes a move, and so does Benjamin Smith. Both of those two guys got by Danilo Lewis down into turn 1.
For Hayden Gillum, just focusing on his own race, let everything else unfold behind him. He's been able to win 5 times this season. He's been on the podium 6 times through the first 8 races. Just really, really impressive. But Ashton Yates, over the course of the last couple of months, being able to come back and get more and more laps on this bike, and he's been so impressive. Saw him shake his head a little bit, Roger. Take a look at this replay, just how hard he's pushing.
Yeah, and think about that. This part of the track is just really hard on a Superbike. Remember how he mentioned this part of the track where his hand is broke, where it's really difficult, and you can see the bike's trying to wheelie. It looks like Ashton Yates is off track in turn 8, and he's able to rejoin. Unfortunate mistake for Ashton. But you can see that was the part of the track where Hayden mentioned is really physical on that hand. See, there it is. It's wheeling through there. It looks like right before he shifts, the front wheel's coming up off the ground.
And you could see him having to catch it there, and with that broken hand and being able to ride through the rain and not having to push as hard, it's been a little bit easier to get up into this, but Hayden Gillum certainly dealing with it. Jason Uribe looking to get himself slotted up into second, making that move around Danilo Lewis. Just a moment ago, we saw Ashton Yates off. Here's a replay of what happened.
Yeah, just on the back of the screen, looks like him and Benjamin Smith both ran off track. So I'm not sure if maybe, you know, maybe one of them tried to make the pass on the inside, got in a little bit deep, forced him off, and now Benjamin Smith lost a couple spots, and now he's trying to work his way back through.
Yeah, Benjamin down in, he was in 5th place, starting to make up a little bit of ground. Ashton Yates, though, down in 9th place. So some work to be done here, but for Jason Uribe, he knows he needs to finish ahead of Hayden Gillum. He was able to get his first win in Stock 1000 earlier this season. That came back in the second race at Brainerd, but he was able to also win when we got to the Ridge in the second race there as well. So his first 2 Stock 1000 wins is what's put him in this championship contention now, as well as 5 podium results. He's just been super consistent.
The consistency and for him just finishing and getting the points each weekend, that's got him into the spot like he's doing this race. Didn't qualify that great, but finds himself into second. And looking at his sector times, he's pushing really hard. He's a couple seconds behind Hayden, but he's trying to keep the pressure on where Hayden still feels it.
We saw in the opening races this season, Hayden Gillum came on just with something to prove. He won the first race by over 11 seconds, the second race by over 10 seconds. It was a 7-second win for him at Brainerd. That gap is now closed. We don't have those same distances anymore, but for Jason Uribe, he knows that he can't let Hayden get too far ahead.
He just wants, when Hayden sees his pit board, not to say more than wants to say +1, +2, where you can't relax and where you can't start to slow down. He wants him to have to keep pushing all the way till the end of this race.
Noah Lewis continuing in this battle for third. Benjamin Smith. Benjamin started the race 7th, if you remember, but he felt like he had pace. He has certainly shown that he was right. He was right with his assessment coming in today.
Jason's on a good lap watching these splits. He did the best first split of the whole race. Second split was his personal best, so he's got his head down, definitely trying to charge.
What about Richard Kerr? We haven't mentioned him, but starting on the front 2 rows, he qualified 6th, and being able to be out there and really stay in the mix for him.
Yeah, just taking advantage of that good starting spot and be in the mix early on. Just so far, great first couple laps for him. And also Nolan Lampkin and Isaiah Davis, those guys are really all right there still.
Just to put in perspective what the dry conditions have done to the lap times, the pole position was earned with a 1:31.2 in the qualifying session by Hayden Gillum, but right now, fastest lap of the race is a 1:22.5. So these riders certainly going the quickest that they've been able to go all weekend long. Everybody coming to terms with it. We are now working lap number 5 of this 14-lap race.
See Isaiah Davis there. He was fastest in the wet this weekend. The wet, some really good qualifyings for him. Benjamin Smith also, after making that mistake running off track, he's doing a great job recovering those positions. Danilo Lewis also still in the top 3. We mentioned this is their first dry session. This is where the race is going to start getting tricky with tire wear. This long right-hander, who's going to have the best setup in the dry as this race goes on.
And it's also a little bit of an unknown because we mentioned at the start of this race that this racetrack is freshly repaved and not having a dry session here this weekend. We'll see what kind of tire wear they have towards the end of this race. You see our race leader, Hayden Gillum, now with over 2.5-second lead over Jason Uribe. These are the championship points as they sit now. 25 points for the win, 20 for second. That widens the gap out to 12.
Yeah. Last lap, though, Jason, 3/10 quicker than Hayden, so he's trying to mount a charge here in the middle of this race.
Second half of this race, Roger, now with everybody knowing what their line is and what they need to do, you can see the gap starting between these front 2 riders. Benjamin Smith there, 2.8 seconds back, but second half of the race, how is it different than the first?
Just the tire wear, the bike starts behaving different. You're starting to lose grip on corner exit, also grip on the back. I'm sure Hayden Gillum also, his hands probably starting to bother him a little bit, but you can see Jason, he's got his head down, and he's trying to close this 2 seconds.
He continued there. You mentioned it the last lap that Jason Uribe was 0.3 of a second faster. He just lowered that time down to a 22.0 for Jason Uribe, still consistently quicker now than Hayden Gillum. Problem is Hayden was able to get out early.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hayden has a little bit of, he's almost matching him. He's going to have to keep doing that 0.3 a lap if he's going to want to close this gap down.
See the pit board there for Jason Uribe, telling him he's sitting in P2.
0.4 that lap. And as a rider where Jason's at, you can see that. You can see you're closing the gap on that rider in front of you, and you kind of get that extra little, jolt of energy and, that want to go get it. You can see it right in front of you.
You can see how Jason's been able to close down that lead there on the graphic as well, and it's just the lap after lap consistency. Jason knows he's closing it. How aware is Hayden Gillum of it?
Hayden knows. He's got a pit board. He can see, you know, that Jason's coming in every single lap. Jason, like now, he just did another red first sector. So Hayden's going to see his pit board, and you can see it in the shot.
Go back to third place. Benjamin Smith here aboard the number 78, sitting fourth in the championship standings. He's had 4 podiums so far this season. Still looking for a win, but it's been a season of progression for Benjamin Smith as he's learning this bigger bike.
Yeah, just a couple podiums this year too, and as you said, just learning the bigger bike, and he's did a great job. And I think also doing the superbike races as well has really helped him get out with a couple of those good guys. As we see Hayden Gillum still out here in the lead here, trying to stretch it out.
Jason Uribe resetting his best lap there on that last lap again, now down to a 21.8 for Jason Uribe. That last lap, Roger, Hayden Gillum was a 22.4.
So Jason keeps this pace up, he will be there by the end of this race. And the thing is, you can see how hard Jason is pushing. He is letting it all hanging out. He knows it's all on the line. He has to win this race and try to get in front of Hayden.
Yeah, because the problem is, again, 25 points for a win. If Hayden's able to do that, that gap that he has in terms of championship points going in tomorrow, it grows into 12. And at that point, Jason has to wish for something to happen to Hayden, and nobody wants to win a title that way. See the gap here between Hayden Gillum, Jason Uribe. Benjamin Smith, you didn't even see in the picture. These two riding towards a title hope are just in a league of their own.
And that's the thing, both of them are fighting for this championship, so they're just kind of elevating each other, knowing that they have to beat the other one, and every time one gets a little bit quicker, the other one steps up. It looks like Hayden has did a good job this lap, at least keeping the gap the same or maybe even stretching it out. Hayden did a red third sector, so he definitely just did his best lap at the 22.1, but Jason Uribe still a 10th quicker, but for Hayden, that's okay. He just can't give up those 3 or 4 tenths a lap.
Ashton Yates, who was up there towards the front of the field early on, had that off. He was all the way back down into 9th. He's starting to work his way back through up into 7th right now. He just had his best lap on that last lap as well.
See, Jason, look at that rear tire. Look at the way that thing is stepping out through there. That is wide open, headed through that little kink from turn 10 all the way to the back straight. We talked about how fast that section is, getting that run.
Saw his team react to it also. For Jason Uribe, getting that win, his first win in Stock 1000 back at Brainerd. Roger, of course, it was a turning point in the championship. What kind of turning point do you think it was for Jason?
It's been huge. I think the whole season back in MotoAmerica and just getting podiums, and then your target changes. You want to start going for wins. He started fighting for those wins and was there every week. And then obviously when the opportunity that was there, he was able to take it. We talked about Stock 1000 this year. Jason wasn't really one of those guys we talked about for the championship, but he came here this year and he's bringing the fight.
The entire Orange Cat team has really put a lot of effort into getting Jason comfortable and up to speed, and over the course of the season we've seen them working together so well, and that gap just closing down to just over a second now. You can see how close Jason is. 5 laps still to go, and he's continuing to be quicker than Hayden Gillum.
He was way quicker in that first sector, a half a second quicker, so you can see he's definitely starting to close it down. It's well under a second now, so Jason just has to keep going. As we see, looks like Steven Shakespeare had a crash. He's up and okay. Corner worker's doing a great job trying to help him get off the track or at least back into the race.
As you watch these two up front, mentioned Ashton Yates having that off earlier, now working his way back up into 7th. This is another look at it.
Yeah, I think maybe Benjamin might have tried to make a pass and got in there a little bit deep. You can't really tell from the end of it, but both those two guys going off makes me think, yeah, you see Benjamin Smith there tried to make a pass down into there and got in a little bit deep and forced them both off track.
Both of them having to work their way back up. Benjamin Smith able to get there quickest up into third place right now. It's Hayden Gillum continuing to lead, but now it is down to under a second between himself and Jason Uribe. How hard does Hayden Gillum push now as we get close to 3 laps to go?
He's got to keep pushing. He can't just get second, especially if Jason wins tomorrow. Watching the sectors, this first part of the track is where Jason is really good. You can see him closing the gap all the way through here, all the way up through 4, down into 5. The second sector after here is kind of where they're pretty even. They're not losing a lot. And then once we get into the third sector, that's where Hayden's a little bit stronger and he kind of pulls that gap back out. See Hayden's wife there stressing this out.
The kids here this weekend as well, and Hayden has said it a couple of times this season that being able to have his family out here at the racetrack with them each weekend, it really does relax him and it allows him not to focus on the championship point scenarios, and it's really made a difference in the way he's able to fight for titles.
Yeah, and just be able to focus more. You know, he's a family man now, a dad and a husband, and you can tell he's really, you know, grown up in a short amount of time, and it's starting to show in his racing as well.
Jason Uribe, though, right there now. He has closed that gap.
Oh!
A huge save for Hayden Gillum, but it's going to be enough for Jason Uribe to get around him.
But that can separate your front brake pads, and luckily for Hayden, that wasn't the case. Now the roles have reversed. Now it's Hayden going to have to follow Jason. Looks like Hayden might, we talked about a little bit of water on the track in between the asphalt. You see Hayden here when he's just going to use all the track, and right when he gets on that curb, see the water.
See the water spray off, and just enough to disrupt the bike. It's a huge save for Hayden.
Huge save. Yeah, you can just see, watch the spray off the rear tire from the water. And just luckily he's able to save it, and luckily for Jason, he did not get into the back of Hayden.
What effect do you think that had on his hand?
Oh, that hurt. You just think about the head shake like that, and you know, you're trying to get your heart rate back down in a short amount of time with only 3 laps to go.
All right, Jason Uribe now in control of this race, coming from the 3rd row and 8th qualifying position now in front of Hayden Gillum. Look what it does to the championship points. That first place getting 25, second place getting 20. It closes it down to 2 points going into tomorrow if they're able to finish this way.
And it gives Jason a much better shot tomorrow. All he has to do is go into that race. Whoever wins would be the champion if it ends up like this. But you can see Hayden, he's kind of regrouped. He's regrouped now. He lost a little bit. Now he's going to get a little opportunity to follow Jason, maybe see where he's quicker and be able to make a move as this race winds down.
2 laps to go in this 14-lap race, and for the first time in the last several laps, Hayden Gillum was quicker that time around than Jason Uribe, as he's now sitting, watching and waiting for his opportunity.
And Hayden, through that first sector, the one that he has been struggling in this whole race, was the fastest one of the whole race. And you see Jason, that's great racing right there by Jason, blocking that inside line down into turn 5, because that is one of the best passing zones.
Watch these 2 riders, and there's just nothing in between them, Roger.
And this place is tough to pass. You can see Hayden's kind of looking outside, inside their speed, and they're coming up into lappers as well. So we'll see how that plays out.
You can see on the screen we do have a couple of riders that have retired. Steven Shakespeare on that number 72 is out of this one. Alex Arango also down on pit lane right now, though not officially retired. And now we get into traffic. White flag is being shown. Our leaders are catching the tail end of this field. Who plays it better?
Hayden's in a tough spot. You want to try to make a move, but there's not a lot of places. As you go through this chicane, it's difficult to make a pass through 3A, B, and C. We've seen him make moves early on in the race out of turn 3. Gets a good run, maybe up out of this rise. This is a tough pass to make it. See Jason move over to the right. The next best passing place inside turn 5. Jason blocks it perfectly down there on the inside.
For Hayden Gillum, he did everything he could do at the start of this race to control it. Then that big moment would allow Jason Uribe to get by, but once Jason got by, he continued to put his head down. His only goal was to finish ahead of Hayden Gillum. Now on this final lap, he's done everything he can do to execute.
Hayden might try to dive on the inside in this next corner, but he's just not there. His only option now is to try to get a good run through this last sector out of turn 10. Inside last corner.
Hayden Gillum gets around. Can he hold on to it? Coming to the line for Hayden Gillum, taking the race win. Jason Uribe finishing second, 200ths of a second between the two of them. Benjamin Smith rounding out the podium. This is a battle coming to the line. Danilo Lewis, Nolan Lankin. Danilo Lewis able to finish in 4th, Nolan there in 5th. These two riders can't believe it.
Yeah, and you think about what the title, means to Hayden. Able to take that chance, knowing, see, he gets a good run out of turn 10. He just kind of lets that momentum keep going to the right. Jason moves over to the left a little bit. Don't expect a lot of passes in this last corner, but look at Hayden, the commitment. This is where he had that big moment in the race. You see the water spraying up. He lifted the bike up a little bit more, able to get a good run.
A phenomenal photo finish for Hayden Gillum. You look at his team celebrating right there at the end of this race. Hayden Gillum proving he was not willing to give up. It's going to come down to tomorrow, but he'll have a 12-point spread going in to the final Stock 1000 race of the season.
What about Hayden, though? Just full commitment out of that last corner after that moment he had. Jason Uribe also, what a great ride that he put in, and coming from a little bit further down the grid after the tricky conditions this weekend, really stepped up to the plate and really brought the fight to Hayden today, and man, just came up just a little bit short.
Yeah, Jason Uribe certainly made Hayden win this one. He made him earn this win today. Hayden Gillum now gets to ride around and celebrate. You can see race winner here today, Jason Uribe in 2nd, and then Benjamin Smith able to get back on the podium for the 5th time this season.
MotoAmerica Stock 1000 coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Continuing with you here live at New Jersey Motorsports Park as Hayden Gillum now making his way over to the podium to meet with his team, meet up with his family, get to celebrate that hard-earned battle here today. And for Jason Uribe, you see him there. He did everything he could. It was just that close.
It's just that close. There's nothing else he could have did. He did everything he could.
Take a look at the full results. Mentioned there were a couple of retirements there during that race. Benjamin Smith there in 3rd, but Danilo Lewis and Nolan Lampkin, that was another great battle.
Great battle for the top 5. Then Richard Kerr, Bryce Prince, Ashton Yates was able to cover 8th, Diop Campbell, and JC Camacho.
Take a look at the championship points. We have 1 race remaining in this 5-round, 10-race Stock 1000 championship. This is the way we go into tomorrow. Our championship point leader continues to be our defending champion, Hayden Gillum, now with a 12-point lead over Jason Uribe sitting in 2nd.
Yeah, that last lap there was a 10-point swing. He would have went in 2, now 12, and he gets to relax a little bit tomorrow. He doesn't have to take a chance to win if we do have iffy weather.
This is the big story there. Who's going to finish 3rd? We're going into the race tomorrow tied for 3rd between Ashton Yates and Benjamin Smith, able to make up a lot of points today with that podium.
Yeah, and also what happened into that race, I think Ashton's going to come back tomorrow and feel like he owes him one.
The incident was between those two, so we'll see how that unfolds tomorrow as well. What's your biggest takeaway from this one?
Just, Hayden did great, and he won the race. He's able to step up and lay it all on the line is the big taking there, and just the way he's able to do it. But also, it's hard to take away from what Jason did, the way he's come from so far back from the grid and make the move. He did absolutely everything he can. Hayden just played it just a little bit better.
All the riders have their bikes. They're now parked. Let's go ahead and sit it down to Joe Inkier to hear from these riders.
Yes, well, I am at the podiums with Hayden Gillam. Hayden, exceptional race, an important win for you out there. And what a race between you and Jason. Tell me how you managed that final overtake on the last turn.
I have no idea. It was a little, the bridge had a little wet spot under it, and I was a little nervous going that low, and yeah, somehow, made it stick. And unfortunately made myself have to work a little harder with a little almost get off, but yeah, that hurt the hand a little bit, but it's good. It's happy. The team's happy. It's incredible to be back up on the top with Steel Commander and Honda and Comstock Energy. I don't know. That was a tough race. Jason was riding really good.
And 12 points now you extend your lead by. You mentioned that topple with 3 laps to go. With that championship at stake, what was going through your mind?
I was just hoping I didn't put it down. I was just trying to save it, and yeah, it took me a little bit to get recovered a few corners, and then I knew I had to just kind of get right back to it. So it's yeah, this is really good. Now the sun's out, everybody can be happy.
Now you got that dry racing in the sunshine as well, but you managed to do it to get the win. Hayden Gillam, everyone. Let's walk over to our second place on the podium, Jason Uribe. Is it smiles? Oh, it's smiles from Jason. Oh, what a race from you. What a performance. To go from 8th on the grid to 2nd, you almost had it there. How proud are you of your efforts?
Oh man, I got to put it out to the whole Orange Cat team. Everybody killed it this weekend. It's been pretty inconsistent weather, so trying to come out here and just kind of throw down a dry lap time was a bit of a challenge, but at the end of the day, I knew it was going to be rough coming from 8th, but I just tried my best to be aggressive, be smooth, not make mistakes, and I won't lie, towards the end of the race, I knew that he was going to be there, and I was just thinking in that last corner, man, there's no way he's going to try. There's no way. And then as soon as I saw a rear tire in my face, I was like, he tried. But at the end of the day, happy to finish the race. A little bit further behind the points, but anything's possible tomorrow.
What a learning experience, though, and what a race from you. The cheers from your team say it all. Let's take it over to your 3rd place on the podium. Ben Smith now up in 3rd and tied for 3rd in the championship standings. What a performance from you coming through. What does it mean to you to now be tied for 3rd?
Yeah, I knew that was going to be an important race. Like I said on the grid, we had a little bit of weird qualifying with those mixed conditions, but started on the 3rd row. I knew I had some pace in the drive, so just tried to get off to a good start, and made a couple of moves in the beginning, and honestly, I got to apologize to Ashton. I didn't mean for that move to be that close on that turn, but just tried to keep my head down and fight back through the pack, and we got myself into 3rd and was just kind of chipping away at the leaders a bit. Team gave me a phenomenal bike. I can't thank my whole Flow for Law racing team enough. Once again, they work the butts off every weekend, so I'm so happy to be able to reward them with this podium.
Chipping away, a podium today and in the running for a podium overall. Congratulations, everyone. Back to you, Jamie and Roger.
We still have one more Stock 1000 race to go for this championship season. Roger, here are the highlights from today.
Yeah, you see Hayden Gillam wanted to get a really good start. He got the launch, but Danilo Lewis was able to lead him out of turn 1. See Hayden there, Ashton Yates, also Benjamin Smith. All these guys aggressive early. Hayden's able to get by Danilo Lewis. You see a little get-together between Ashton Yates and Benjamin Smith there. Early on in the race, Ashton coming up the losing end deal of that. Jason Uribe works his way up from 8th down into 2nd into turn 1. A little about 2.5 seconds back to Hayden. He put his head down. You see Benjamin Smith ran off track. He had to come back through the pack. But watch this moment by Hayden Gillam. Right there, just big slide, almost high side onto the front straightaway. And you see Jason was able to make the move back. Jason did a great job closing down that gap, and then the roles were reversed. And Hayden, last lap, last corner, last opportunity to get the win. He was able to make it happen.
Who was pushing harder? Coming down, it all went to Hayden Gillam. Now seeing a message on the timing screen that the incident that we saw between bike 78, Benjamin Smith, and 27 of Ashton Yates is under review. So we'll have to follow up on that later on. Take a live look at the podium and the riders getting to celebrate the efforts from this 14-lap race number 1. You hear the fans. It's an open celebration area for all of the fans. Just a general admission tickets get you over there to celebrate. If you're here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, make sure you come over and watch as well. You see Hayden waiting for his turn to go up and collect that first place trophy. You said it, Roger. It's all about family.
Yeah. These are going to be those moments and cherish and look back, those pictures, and it's going to be a really cool memory.
Even with the issues with the hands, he's not letting go of either one of those. Great race. Congratulations to the top three. Supersport will be the next race up. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.